All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to crack open the story behind a pretty massive digital asset sale. We're talking $500,000. We're going to deconstruct how a portfolio of Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP assets, pulled off this huge exit. Let's get to it.
Okay, first things first. Let's just put the final number right up on the screen. $538,323. Yeah, that's the total exit value. Just let that number sit there for a second. This isn't just some random number. It's the result of a really well-put-together digital machine.
So that begs the big question, right? How in the world do you turn a bunch of ebooks into a $500,000 sale? I'll give you a hint. It's not luck. It is all about strategy.
And to really get our heads around that, you've got to understand this wasn't your average run-of-the-mill sale. No way. This was a premium valuation. And it was premium for a reason. It had some very specific things going for it that made it super attractive to buyers. Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. Look at these two numbers. On one side, you've got the final price, but on the other side, that's the real key, a 36x multiple. Now, for anyone who's not deep in the world of buying and selling online businesses, let me tell you, a 36x multiple is strong. It's basically a giant flashing sign that says this is a high-quality, stable, and super desirable asset. So how do we get from a 36 multiple to that $500,000 number? Well, let's pull back the curtain and decode the valuation engine. You might be surprised. The math behind all this is actually pretty simple, but it is incredibly powerful. Everything starts with profit. And I'm not talking about revenue, the total money coming in. I'm talking about the actual cash you get to keep. So this business, it was pulling in over $48,000 a month in gross revenue. Pretty good, right? But after all the platform fees and expenses were paid, it was still left with almost $15,000 in pure profit. That's a net profit margin of over 31%. That is incredibly healthy. And here it is. This is the whole formula laid out perfectly. You take that monthly net profit, that nearly $15,000, you multiply it by that premium 36x multiple, and boom, you get your final valuation. It's that simple, right? But the real trick, the real magic, is figuring out how to get both of those numbers, your profit and your multiple, as high as you possibly can. That profit number is the engine that drives this whole thing. So let's just zero in on that for a second. It's way more than just a number on a spreadsheet. It's the ultimate report card on the health and efficiency of a business. And you can see that relationship so clearly right here. This business wasn't just good at making sales, it was fantastic at keeping the money it earned. That shows really strong unit economics. It proves to a potential buyer that the whole model is efficient, it's sustainable. That 31.1% net profit margin, that's the bedrock. It's the foundation for the entire valuation. But wait, it gets even better. Because it wasn't just a flat, static profit number. Just look at this growth, a 179% increase in profit over just the last 12 months. This kind of upward trend, this momentum, is exactly what buyers are looking for. It doesn't just tell them where the business is today, it paints a picture of where it's headed, and that gives them a ton of confidence to pay a premium. Okay, so we've established the business was profitable, and it was growing like crazy. But what was the secret sauce? What was the actual strategy that made it so stable? This right here is where the genius comes in. It's all about hedging your bets through diversification. So check this out. The portfolio wasn't just all in on one topic. Instead, think of it like a content ecology. It was made up of 3 totally different, really strong niches, but they all fed into one single powerful stream of cash flow. This is a classic, smart way to lower your risk. If one category has a slow month, the others are there to pick up the slack. And this chart just lays out that strategy perfectly. Look, you've got a yoga guide. That's in the health and wellness space, which is what we call evergreen. It's always in demand. Then you have a survival handbook. That's a practical skills guide that's pretty resistant to big economic trends. And finally, a cookbook, which has a huge, broad appeal and brings in consistent high volume. Each one has a totally different risk profile. But you put them all together, you get an incredibly balanced and resilient portfolio.
Okay, so let's put all the pieces together now. We've seen the high margins, we've seen the insane growth, and we've seen the smart diversification. So what happens when you mix all of that together? Well, you get the winning formula for a premium asset.
And this diagram just nails it. It shows exactly how it all works.
The diversified portfolio, that protected it from big swings. The high margins, that made sure it was spitting out cash. And the fact that it was stable and established, that gave buyers total confidence. It's right there in the middle, where those three circles overlap. That's where you create the perfect storm for a premium 36x multiple. Look, any one of these things on its own is good, but all three together, man, that is the winning formula.
So if you're building something yourself, what are the big takeaways here? What should you write down? Number 1, high profit margins are your number 1 tool for getting a high valuation, period. Number 2, diversification is not just some buzzword, it's a real deal strategy to lower your risk and make buyers feel safe. 3, you've got to show strong, stable growth. That proves your business model actually works. And finally, the big one, combine all three of those, and that is how you create a truly premium asset that buyers will line up for.
And that brings us to the final question. And this one's for you to really think about. After seeing this entire breakdown from the nuts and bolts math to the high-level strategy, what is the single most valuable lesson from this exit that you can apply to your own digital project, starting like